All right, it looks like we started recording. So I want to welcome everybody to today's session of HLS Viva Monthly Live. This is our monthly session. We have one a month covering topics around, not to be confused with today's Viva Topics, but topics around Microsoft Viva. And we welcome your participation during the session. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First of all, you'll notice there is a web address, https://aka.ms/HLS blog. That's aka.ms/HLS blog. We'll take the recording from today's session. It'll be posted there afterwards, and any additional resources that you can go ahead and access and also share with your colleagues. So that'll be there. Also, during the session today, we encourage your participation. We love to hear from you. We love to hear shout outs, where people are from. If you have questions, you can post those into the chat. You can also raise your hand. And then, we can unmute people, bring them off mute to ask somebody something if they like, or you can type it, and we'll be following along with that as we go through. Let's go ahead and look at our agenda for today. So we're going to start off with some brief introductions. It'll take a second. Then we'll jump into what's new in Microsoft Viva. We have an HLS Smarter Health highlight. We have a Viva guest presentation today, and Arbindo is in live from Vegas. Mike, that's what I'm talking about. Shout out to Vegas. So we'll have our guest presentation by Arbindo, who's going to be talking about Microsoft Viva Topics, as well as Syntex, and how they really can work hand in hand and really expand what's able to be done. We have time at the end for open QA, but of course, as I mentioned, if you have questions as we go through, feel free to post, to ask here, to raise your hand, and we'll try to get those answered as we can. So what's new in Viva? There is a ton. So I believe last time we talked, we were talking about the 4 modules of Viva, which was connections, insights, learning, and topics. And you can see that has already grown out. And we did talk about goals last time. But you can see new appearances by Amplify, by Insights, Pulse, and more that have started to take hold. And I'll hit on those real quickly. But to do that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up, not our blog, but the official Viva blog. So there's a couple of things I want to highlight, and then I'll drop a link in the chat here. So first off, during the announcements at Ignite and just prior to that, but post our last session, more options coming for the Viva Connections desktop experience. Viva Connections really is becoming increasingly cemented as that foundational core for all of Viva, and there's a reason for that. And if we come on down here, you'll see a new Viva, well, that didn't give us a very good view. There's a new Viva experience for Connections coming, where instead of us continue to expand on the left-hand rail with all these icons, condensing down to a single unified Viva icon, and then within that present our enhanced Connections experience along with connections to the modules that you make available in your enterprise. And that's important because we're really trying to, simplify the experience instead of having all these different icons, bring it together into a single launch pad via Connections, and be able to then, as you make offerings available in your organization, be able to have a landing place for that right within that enhanced Connections design. I'll have the links to all these, so don't worry about them. We'll give those afterwards. Connect daily to work with OKRs and latest goals integration. So, one of the things that we've talked about was that one of the big pushes for the goals team is increased integration into other pieces. So you can see where in this article they talk about that. But you can see here are the available ones, and then coming soon we have Jira on-premise, Microsoft Planner, Microsoft Project. Who'd have thunk, right? Project Power BI, and that's both to render dashboard views of goals and OKRs, but also to feed your OKRs. So as you have other applications feeding Power BI, they can in turn feed goals. Slack, and then Viva Goals extension in ADO. So number of things coming around that. We provided a roadmap on there. I'm not going to go through all this, but we talk about goals. They talked about some of the enhancements to learning coming, including learning paths, so that you can set those up. I'm seeing that in my preview tenant right now, where I'm able to set up learning paths. So then you can have readily available courses of study to get to some type of end state for your users. Also, learning collections is coming there. And then some updates around various permissions. And we'll get more into that in another session. And then deployment, they're simplifying across the organization. Also, there is an upcoming webinar by the folks from the Viva team, and this is the future of employee learning on November 15th. Again, we'll have this link after the fact. We'll put that off the blog site along with the recording from here, so you can go and register. It's a free session. I highly encourage you, share that with your colleagues, friends, and family, and check out what's happening and where this is all going with learning, because it's an exciting area of rapid expansion. In addition to that, we also have announcing the new Viva IT admin feature. So really centralizing the administration of Viva and bringing that as on par and, really an equal of SharePoint and Teams and others, to have a one-stop shop for you to go and administer Viva. That is on the roadmap. It is coming, and they give a whole, not only the announcement, but a view to that you can see. They have additional information around Viva Topics, something that's going to come out. We're going to be talking about today, Viva Topics, but at KM World. So Microsoft Viva Topics will be part of the presentations there, and a lot of exciting things that are coming out around topics as we continue to build that up to really become that knowledge management hub for the organization that then feeds so many other things like learning, like connections, engage, and others, and be able to provide that. So that's coming out at KM World, and you can check out that announcement, and you'll be able to get to all this. I will drop this one right into the chat right now so that you have that and don't have to wait. Here we go. All that comes off of, there were many other announcements since then. So if you're looking for anything in the last month since our last session, just take a look at anything starting from October on. We ended our last session with September. So that starts right here under more options coming soon to the desktop. And you can see quite a few announcements that have come out. So definitely check that out. We'll have all that again off the post of the recording of today's session, and you can see that following this. All right, continuing on. Smarter Health. And any questions? Does anybody have any questions about anything? I have my chat up right now. No questions? All right. Smarter Health. Real quickly, I wanted to call out something. Last time we showcased goals. I want to show something a little bit different than last time in today. So I'm going to shoot on over here. So Smarter Health, if you're not familiar with it, for all of our Microsoft Healthcare and Life Science customers, HLS, we have a demo environment nationally called Smarter Health. And in that, we have different solutions that are being built up. And we've covered and done things off of the blog around learning. But I just wanted to call out a couple of things, both that are working in it today and some that will be soon, within the learning piece, because it really extends that just-in-time capability that you can provide for your users within their orgs using out-of-the-box features that you get with learning. In fact, the first piece that I'll show you, you get even with the freemium version. So if I take a look at our Smarter Health thing, and you can see we have trending courses here and things I might be interested in. One of the things you'll note right here, right off the bat, is there are different media types. So here, for example, is a PDF. So readily being able to open other things. But I'm going to go into this particular piece and scroll down, and you'll see what I have here is something called Clinicians Connect. What we have done here in Smarter Health is we had a request from providers. I'm going to go out to our learning. There we go. Smarter Health Learn. Where folks said, you know, hey, we want to be able to provide podcasts. And so underneath in this site, setting up a library to do podcasting, we were able to set that up and then start to drop in MP3s, just like you can do videos. And we've showed that in the past, where you can go and you can have a video where somebody clicks and then they can say, hey, this is of interest, and this is a video you've made internally, and then be able to play that, have it available. But in our case, what we're talking about here are MP3s. Again, taking the comfort level of people and the tools. So think about this. You have a phone, you can record your voice, just-in-time kind of content, upload it into a SharePoint library, and now also treated like a first-class citizen that will play natively here and here is audio. So if you want to create MP3 podcasts where you create a library and then folders for your podcast, the same metadata structure that you would use, you can even add to your calendar. We can provide that here. And when the person clicks, you'll know, there you go. It runs native, because natively SharePoint Online supports MP3 and, oh shoot, it's the M4, I forget the name of it. Jim, what's the name of that one, the M4 one?
M4A?
M4A, thank you. Yes, supports both of those native and will play right here. And then it's just a matter of clicking and playing. And that works mobile and desktop. So that's the first piece. So if you have even the freemium, you can extend using SharePoint libraries and folders. Again, we'll have pointers to how to do this because we've posted already, you know, step-by-step how-tos. But that's available for you. And it works just like all other content, everything from your learning management system right on down to the SharePoint-based content. So audio is there as well. Finally, last thing, they mentioned learning pathways. And let's say you want to create pathways. One of the things that you could actually do, if you have a podcast series that in fact is a training series that you want to target, in this case, we're doing one, Nurses Speak, you can create an initial lineup, right? Where here you can see I have 2 items. I'm just going to click edit. And then you can see I was able to add a custom thumbnail, give it a title, give it a description, select next. It shows the audio podcasts I added, and then I can simply go in and add additional podcasts as those come on to bear. So I can have an ongoing learning series, part of a learning path for instruction for clinicians or any other, I mean, it could be line workers, right? Clinical workers, because again, we want to make it mobile. We want to make it user-friendly, automatically served up to folks. That's a feature coming, not there yet for everybody, but Pathways is coming. So that concludes our Smarter Health. If you want to see Smarter Health and all the things that we can do there, schedule time with your Microsoft account team for them to come in, and we'll be happy to go ahead and provide that to you. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go on to the next. We have a Viva guest. So Arbindo, I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a in just one second. I'm going to be turning this over to Arbindo. I'm going to come off of the video here in just a second. But if you have questions, again, you'll be able to raise your hand and we'll queue you up. Also, myself and Jim Warner, who you can see in here, will be monitoring the chat on here. So feel free, as you have questions, post stuff in there, and we'll make sure that we can get that queued up and you're ready to rock and roll. So without further ado, Arbindo,
thank you, Mike.
Introduce yourself and take it away.
Absolutely. Super excited to be in front of the HLS community and have this opportunity to present some of the innovations we are bringing in the content management space. So hello, everyone. My name is Arbindo Chattopadhyay. I'm a director in the Content AI specialist team. And my responsibility is really to bring the latest innovations that we are making in the AI space, especially around content management. So today I'm going to walk you through how you can use AI, specifically Viva Topics and Microsoft Syntex, to transform your content into knowledge. As Mike mentioned, let's make this interactive. Ask questions, interrupt, ask questions on chat. I don't want this to be a one-way presentation. This will be a lot of demo. So get ready to see some of the cool stuff that we are bringing here. So before I start, let me just set the stage here. This is my 14th year at Microsoft. And I still remember my first week. I'm sure all of you remember your first day, first week in your organization. I was anxious. I really wanted to prove myself fast. I wanted to learn everything that is around me, everything that I can learn to make myself productive. So what do you do? This is 14 years back. What do? Usually you have someone, a buddy who is assigned to you. You can ask questions. You can navigate through the organization. You can try to identify subject matter experts. You get to know some of the tools that you can use to search for content. Now, fast forward 14 years. And here we are going to see, let me show this. We are going to welcome Megan. Megan just joined Contoso Electronics. Now, please don't read the email. Just the essence of this email is, this is a welcome email from Megan's manager to Megan, welcoming her into Contoso Electronics. And in this email, as you will note, there is mention of multiple projects that Megan will be working on. Now, what would Megan do typically? She would open up browser, go to the search engine, try searching for Lafayette, searching for Ascitney, searching for Delta, understand who the experts are in each of the projects and what are some of the key documents. Now, what if AI comes in here and helps reduce the time Megan would spend searching for documents and searching for experts? So as you can see, this is an email. This is the Outlook Web Access, but it's the same experience in Outlook as well. But what you also see in this email on the top right corner, there is this number 5, and then there is a pound sign here. And Megan clicks on this, and this is the AI, where AI has identified some of the key topics in the email. It is showing Lafayette, it is showing Ascitney, and it is showing Delta. As Megan hovers over these topics, she can learn what Lafayette is about, what is the summary, what are some of the other names that Lafayette is also known as, who are the subject matter experts, and what are some of the key resources. Right? She can click on this, and she can get to Lafayette. Right? And this is not something that I've hard-coded. this is the built-in out-of-the-box experience powered by Viva Topics. And this helps not only in new employee onboarding, it helps in every scenario. And the whole idea here is, instead of you trying to spend time searching for information, information is brought to you with AI. Right? So in the next presentation, we are going to see how to make this work. What do you need to make this work? And it is quite simple, actually. So before I get to that, I'm just going to walk you through a few slides as to why we built this. What are the capabilities and how you can quickly get started with this. All right. So why did we build this? With digitization of business processes, we are experiencing an unprecedented growth in unstructured content. When I say unstructured content, everything from PDFs to documents to spreadsheets, audio files, video files, either getting generated within the organization or being received from external users and businesses. By the year 2025, as per the research, world is going to host 130 billion terabytes of content. I cannot even imagine how many zeros are in here. And this is not going to slow down. This is going to grow significantly as we digitize business process. Just to give you some sense, Microsoft 365 adds 1.6 billion documents per day today. And organizations are spending a lot of money just trying to manage this content within the organization. So this is the problem that we are trying to solve. We are not trying to reduce the amount of content that is getting generated, but we are trying to bring AI to manage this content. So as we talk to our customers and partners, we have identified 4 key challenges that we want to address with this AI. Number 1, we want to transform content into information. As you generate content in your organization, you have so much valuable information inside it. But all that information is locked inside unless you extract them and use it in the business process. Organization gaps. So today, for you to use this information, you need manual processes where someone is classifying what the content is and extracting metadata from it. Number 3, one of the most common complaints from end users is that search is broken. I cannot find what I'm looking for. I'm spending too much time trying to find relevant information. We want to fix that. And last but not the least is the risk from security and compliance. Our customers are asking us to build proactive approach to applying the compliance and security policies instead of depending on the users to do the same. So with this in mind, Project Cortex was launched 2 years ago. And from Project Cortex, there were 2 products that were born. The first one became Viva Topics. The second one is Microsoft Syntex. So Viva Topics, what does it do? It uses AI, especially machine learning, to curate your enterprise content. And from the enterprise content, the end goal of Viva Topic is to identify those key topics and subject matter experts and build an enterprise Wikipedia for your organization. Something that all of you users can go to and refer to consume knowledge. And last but not the least, the goal of the Viva Topic is really to proactively bring this knowledge in the flow of work. So as you saw in the Outlook email, the knowledge came to the user. Similarly, we will be lighting up all the other canvases such as Microsoft Teams and SharePoint as well. Second is Microsoft Syntex. Microsoft Syntex uses machine teaching and machine learning, combination of both, to do two activities. One, it looks inside every document to classify what is the business domain of that document. Is it a contract? Is it an invoice? Is it a patient information form? Is it a claims form? What is the business domain? And second, it extracts the metadata from the document. If it is a contract, what is the contract amount? What is the contract date? What are terms and conditions? This is a common activity, extracting metadata, that our highly paid and highly skilled employees are doing every day. And the whole goal here is to reduce the manual time, thereby increasing the productivity and also reducing the risk that comes from human error. And lastly, use the classification and metadata to enable content discovery. So now you can do searches such as show me all the contracts where contractor is Microsoft. So you are bringing structured query in the unstructured world of content. You are also using this classification and metadata to drive business processes such as approval, to drive compliance policies, and to drive sensitivity labels. So how does it work at a very high level? Step number one is for you to define your enterprise taxonomy. This is where you are seeding Viva Topics with some of the key topics that are relevant to your organization. It could be the products that you sell, it could be the services that you provide, it could be locations where your hospitals are, it could be the customer segments. What is your enterprise taxonomy? Now, after you build your taxonomy, you also provide what you call as a synonyms. For example, 401k is a benefit in the US, but it could be called something else in Canada and something else in India. So what you're doing is, along with the taxonomy, you're also defining the synonyms that each of the term also has within your enterprise. Second, you have your content in M365, your documents, your spreadsheets, as well as your SharePoint content. Number three, this is where the AI is working for you. So Viva Topics goes and curates your enterprise content. It looks at your taxonomy and builds the topic experience for each of the term in your taxonomy. Now, this is an optional step of using the taxonomy. If you do not use the taxonomy, Viva Topics will just go and identify all the topics within your enterprise. And how is it doing it? It is doing it based on the graph information. It is looking at what are some of the key search terms, what are some of the key documents, what are people collaborating on, who is collaborating more on specific area. It is using all that information and generating this enterprise Wikipedia for you. Syntax, on the other hand, is going inside each and every document and classifying. This is the contract, this is the invoice, this is the patient information, and extracting the metadata. Now, topics and syntax are now coming together because of this taxonomy. And we'll see a demo. Now that Viva Topics has used the taxonomy to create a wiki or a topic experience, syntax will now align the documents to each of those topics. Now, after the AI does it work, that is when the humans come into picture. Now, the subject matter experts will go in and review what Viva Topic has curated. What are some of the key topics? Who are the subject matter experts? And now humans can fine-tune this topic experience. They can add a new subject matter expert. They can add new documents, define content, remove certain topics, and make sure it is ready for enterprise consumption. And this is when the topic and the syntax content is now auto-discoverable within Microsoft Office. So within Outlook, within Teams, within SharePoint, we are proactively showing you the relevant topic based on your context. Any questions so far? Is there any question in the chat?
Yeah, so we did have Mike Morrison. Well, first we had two things. Andre had said that he's very interested in seeing metrics or KPIs with Syntex as you get into it. Also, Mike Morrison had posted and he said, just thinking out loud, but rather than 5 for new untrained user to the system, would it be better to have more context, e.g. key subject topics, so a user will clearly see an action implied? That was the two things we had posted.
Awesome. Great feedback. Absolutely. So we are open to all the feedback, whatever makes sense. I'm going to take it back to engineering. Yeah, so thank you. And we'll talk about metrics or KPIs. And if I do not answer, please ask a question. All right, so let's look at this in action. All right. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to see is the taxonomy. So here, this is where you go in and you define what is your enterprise taxonomy. So here you will see controls of electronics. Within engineering, they have all the engineering projects that they are currently working on, right? Now, you may have something else. You may have geography, you may have your customer segments or products. Now, for each one of them, you may also have what we call as a synonym. For example, Delta may also be known as PRJ004A or RPA004A in this case. So you will define synonyms for your terms. Again, this is an optional element. After you do that, what you do is you go and you request a topic. You say, you tell Viva Topics to go ahead and use this term to curate topic experience for this particular term. And you can use the API so that you can request topic for each and every term in your taxonomy. So what happens here is for Lafayette, you will see Viva Topic has already created a topic experience. View details. And you will see it has the summary, it has what it is also known as, it has identified subject matter expert and the files and resources. What it will also do is you will see it has also identified what are some of the related topics to Lafayette, right? And you will see this number of nodes growing as more and more content is added. Now, when this is created, this is in an unpublished mode. This is where a user goes in, subject matter expert, they review what Viva Topic has done, they make changes if need be, and then they publish it. Once they publish it, it shows up in Outlook, it shows up in Teams. When you go to Teams, you start chatting, you post something, you use the pound sign, and then you can link to the topic itself. Here in the chat, you'll see Ask Kidney here, and this is a topic. You see here this one. Yeah, for some reason this is not pulling up right now. Let's check this. Okay, Demo God is not very happy with me today. But imagine when you clear, when you type pound, it will show you all the list of approved topics. Let me try one more time in here. Yeah, here you will notice I've used pound as kidney and it has already highlighted the topic along with the details. Yeah. Yeah, this is the experience. So here you'll say WPA and you can start writing. So anyone who is referring to the post can now hover over the topic and then they can take a look at the details. Second, let's look at Microsoft Syntex. Like I said, Microsoft Syntex goes inside the document and does the classification and metadata extraction. So these are the design documents here. Let me show you how they look like. Okay, here you will notice there is a project code here. It does not say Del Ascutney, but there is a project code, and then there is a lot of this information. Similarly for Delta, there is a project code. Now what Syntex will do is Syntex will classify and it will extract the metadata. And this is how it looks like when Syntex runs. And Syntex runs as soon as you upload new content in your library or you select existing content and click on classify and extract. So you will notice what has happened. It has tagged the project with Ascutney. It has tagged the project with Hood, Delta, depending on what the project code was. Now the project code could be the exact term in your taxonomy, or it could be one of the synonyms. And it has extracted, it can extract any metadata, like, there is a design number, there is a date, there is a contract terms. Using machine teaching, it extracts all this metadata. Now, this is how topic and syntax, they are coming together because they have the common tag that binds them together with the taxonomy. Now, what is the use of this? Now, as a user, if you want to search for all the documents with project code XX6543, you can use the metadata search here, project code XX6543, and search. You are doing a structured query in the unstructured content, right? Now, this particular search experience, this is dynamic. The metadata that you see here automatically changes based on the metadata in the SharePoint library, right? You could also use Power Automate to send this metadata to a backend system for further processing. Let's see. Let me show you one more demo of Syntex here. Here I'm going to show you a patient resuscitation debrief form. This is a very common form that is used in hospitals by healthcare workers after they perform resuscitation on patient. So today, what happens is this form is filled, they take a picture or they scan it, they send it to IT. Now in IT, there are employees who are reviewing this form and entering all this data manually in the system. Now with Syntex, all this can be automated. You can build a Syntex model, and to do that, you define the metadata. It literally takes 15 minutes to build this AI model. You upload 5 documents for training the model. You can upload more, but minimum is 5. And next, this is where you're using the editor to select what you want to extract and map it to the metadata field. As you can see, Syntex can recognize handwritten content. It can work on PDF, JPEG, PNG, and Office files as well. The first load takes around 10 to 15 seconds because of all the processing that is happening here in the browser. After that, it's pretty fast. So as you can see, you drag and drop if you want to extract physician code leader. Then you assign it to a particular metadata. You can extract checkboxes. You can extract all the table information. For example, if you have invoices, as well as handwritten content. You do this for 5 files, you train the model, and then you deploy it, publish it to your SharePoint library. After you do that, as soon as a new form comes into the organization, either through email or someone uploads it, Syntex runs in the backend, and it has automatically extracted all the information, including handwritten content. Okay. Now, using Power Automate, you can now send this information to your EHR system. If required, you can use Power BI to do some trend and analysis right here from, you can do Visualize Library. I need to log in here. But the whole idea here is we are reducing the amount of time that is required today to analyze and process all this information. Okay. Last thing I want to show you is the compliance. So as you have seen here, sorry. In the model itself, you can specify the retention label. For example, if you want to store this record for 10 years or 15 years, you can define it in the model itself so that users, they don't have to do it by themselves. Now you have seen how this works in a semi-structured content, such as this one, but Syntex also works in a totally unstructured content. For example, if you have contracts, right? In the contract date, contract amount, they may not be in specific position or a specific layout. This is where Syntex uses machine teaching, where it uses pattern-based recognition to identify the metadata and extract it and store it in the SharePoint library. So these are all the contracts. You can select multiple contracts, click on classify and extract, or you upload new contracts. Here, you'll notice it has extracted all the metadata. Right? Now you can have multiple models defined and assigned to a particular library. Contracts, service agreements, NDAs, employment offers. As documents are uploaded to SharePoint library, all the models are executed against the file. Whichever model has high confidence score, that particular model is applied. So imagine you having all this content today, terabytes of content with Syntex. Now you can classify what is the content. You can automatically apply a retention policy so that the content is deleted. You can enable metadata-based search for your users. And now you can also integrate with Power Automate and build your business processes.
Hey, Arbindo.
Yeah.
There's a question out there from Mike. Does one estimate the Syntex AI cost by referencing AI builder costs?
Yeah, very good question. I'm going to cover that. Yep. All right. So going back to the slides, we have 3 types of Syntex models today. The first one, pre-built models. So Microsoft is providing out-of-the-box models that we have already trained. Invoices and receipts are GA today. It's available today for you to use. So if you want to process your invoices, you do not even have to build a model. You just provide one sample, that is it. You deploy all your invoices from multiple vendors, will get classified and information extracted. Similarly for receipts, and then we are adding new models. The second one is for structured document model, one that you saw with the patient resuscitation form. And the third one is the unstructured document model. This is where the machine teaching is used for documents such as contracts, NDAs, research papers, clinical trials, etc. Now, coming back to the AI builder cost, the AI builder cost is only applicable to the structured document model where you are where Syntex uses the AI builder to build the model itself. There is no consumption-based cost for pre-built model or the unstructured document model. One other question that comes up is how is this different from AI builder, right? So what AI builder does is first two elements. It does the classification and it extracts the metadata. What Syntex does is that it uses these two to automate the content lifecycle. For example, using the classification and metadata, with Syntex, you can assign sensitivity labels. So contract has to be highly confidential. Patient has to be confidential, patient information. You can also apply compliance label, like delete after 10 years, delete after 15 years, so on and so forth. You enable metadata-based search, like you search on specific metadata for your users to quickly get to the information they're looking for. With Syntex and topics, you enable much richer knowledge discovery. Now all the content that is tagged is now easily aligned with topics so that it gets curated and shown in the topic experience. And last but not the least, we also have content assembly within Syntex. So using all the metadata, now you can generate a new content. So think about a scenario where you are creating an addendum to a contract. Instead of creating a contract from a blank document or copying and pasting existing document, you can use metadata to generate new document. Here are some scenarios for Viva Topics, but from everything from a new employee onboarding to customer service to product design, Viva Topics really helps users reduce the time they spend in finding for information and also finding new insights, even if they're not looking for, right? These are some of the case studies. Northumbrian Water, based in UK, it's an engineering firm. They are using topics and Syntex to retain knowledge from their existing design documents. London Stock Exchange Group is using Syntex to identify the fund information from the prospectus so that the wealth managers, the advisors, they don't have to spend hours and hours to do the same thing every day. This is the Gartner and the Forrester quadrant. You'll notice it's a little small here, but Microsoft is in the leaders quadrant, both for Gartner and Forrester Wave report. And this is not because of the specific features that we have, but it is because of the end-to-end platform that we provide with topics and Syntex. Here is a quick roadmap. What we saw here is really the first row. At Ignite, we announced our Syntex roadmap for next 1 year. You will notice we are investing a lot in this space. We are bringing features such as annotations, something that you can use for redaction as well. We are building more pre-built models. OCR, by default OCR on all the content in your SharePoint and Exchange. Summarization of a large documents where Syntex will create multiple summaries so that you can quickly get a gist of huge document. Translation from one language to another. The other ones that I'm really excited about is the e-signature. We will be bringing in e-signature right inside SharePoint. You will be able to integrate with Adobe Sign, DocuSign, as well as Syntex will have its own e-signature that you can use. On the manage side, we are adding tools for IT to manage this large amount of content. We are going to introduce tiered storage so that you can archive your content that is not being actively used in a cold storage location. We are also going to provide point-in-time backup and restore so that if there is any ransomware or you want to restore something, you can quickly go to the backup and restore to a particular point. And this will be at a very granular level at a site and document libraries. Any questions so far?
Nope, looking good.
All right. So that is it. That is really how we bring AI to work for you and help you curate the content and use it in your flow of work. Wait for any questions, any feedback. Not, I can hand it over to Mike.
All right. So if you have questions, now would be the time. You can raise your hand. We can bring you off mute. You can also post them in the chat. We're happy to entertain those. Anything about the topics that you've seen today. And we have a few minutes left. So I see Mike is typing. We'll wait for that to come in. Oh, and Russ. Russ asked, are you able to share the slides, Arbindo?
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, just send those to me in a
Yep.
chat on Teams, and I'll add those to the resources.
What is a typical rollout time for a working project? Now, as you can see, Syntex is pretty quick. You can start with something as simple as invoice or receipt and get started within few hours. Viva Topics takes a while. It takes about a week to 10 days initially, depending on the amount of content you have, for AI to curate what you have in the enterprise. And after you do that, maybe a week for you to review what is there and refine it, and then publish it. There is some more time required in Viva Topics just to do some change management activities, such as training users, making sure they understand what topic is. Can I tie to AAD roles via API graph? So if you can elaborate on that. Topics uses the AAD roles, and it both topics and syntax, it respects the security, and it uses the roles and user information in the graph to identify subject matter expert.
That's all the questions I see.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Arbindo, for today. That was great. Well, I do see Andre is typing, so we'll see if he pops a question. But this has been a great session. And I do want to remind everybody, I'm going to share my screen real briefly, that following today's presentation, you'll be able to go onto our site at aka.ms/HLS-blog, and we will have, it might even be today, we'll have the session up. I can tell you our next Viva Monthly Live, I've lined up the principal program manager for Viva Goals. So that's going to be an exciting one. That'll be the end of next month, in end of November. So please be on the lookout for that post and announcement. I have a call with him this week, and we're going to nail down the specifics on that. But that's what's next. And again, you know, that upcoming announcement and all is on our blog. So with that, thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week. Stay safe out there for Halloween, and we'll see you next time on Viva Monthly Live. Thank you.
Thank you.